Coming up on this edition of Two Right Turns, two of our most requested guests, defensive coordinator Tom Allen and linebackers coach Ben Boulware join us. Ben Boulware has passion dripping out of every pore for Clemson. Coach Allen talks about why he joined us at Clemson, and we take questions from the fans in our mailbag. Two Right Turns starts now.
You take those two right turns, and when they make the final turn, you can begin to hear the crowd and the noise of the open end of the stadium.
Here it is, the most exciting 25 seconds in college football.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Studio C in the Clemson Athletics Branding Institute for another episode of Two Right Turns, a Clemson football podcast. My name is Ross Taylor, but I'm joined today by two guests from the Clemson football staff. If you guys wouldn't mind, please introduce yourself with your names and titles.
My name is Ben Boulware, and I am the linebacker coach at Clemson.
Tom Allen, defensive coordinator.
And so we like to start off every now and then with just sharing some good news. And, in the past, last offseason, Walker Parks was able to share that he was cleared and all healthy. But I want to talk some good news away from the football field because both of you kind of have a lot going on in the family right now. So you all have some good news to share?
We do. So my wife gave birth to our first little girl.
Yeah.
3 or 4 days ago. So Bennett is going to be her name. We're going to call her Benny.
Okay.
And so got 2 now. Got a son that's about to be 2 years old, and then turned into a girl dad.
How about that?
It's a fun season of life. Chaotic season of life, but a super fun one that I'm very thankful with. Do this life with my wife.
Congrats. That's awesome. And Coach?
Yeah, we were blessed. Our oldest daughter, Hannah, who lives in North Carolina, she had our second grandchild 2 weeks ago, and little Evie. And she was born there and had a chance to spend some time with him, which is awesome, which was a big pull for us coming down here, was having both our daughters here in North and South Carolina.
Yeah.
And so we got the chance to spend some time with them last weekend. And our daughter as well lives in Greenville, and her husband. So just a huge blessing to be able to be this close to both our girls.
Well, and Coach, part of the reason I wanted to bring that up is because, obviously family is a big buzzword around Clemson. We talk a lot about the Clemson family, and you were coming from a great program with a lot of success, but family, it sounds like, is a big reason that you are here. Why has Clemson been the right fit for you, and how much did your family factor into that decision?
Oh, there's no question. It was a major factor. I love my time at Penn State. James Franklin gave me a great opportunity. Love the players there, the coaches, and we had an amazing season. And but then this opportunity to be able to have all 3 of our children right close with us doesn't happen very often in this profession. And it was just too good of an opportunity to pass up. I know that, here my son was able to be a part of the staff as well. He's going to be the assistant linebackers coach, and he played for us at Indiana. He also has a son and our first grandchild, and he's a year old now. So have both grandkids, close by, and that's great for my wife. But just for me and Clemson football, obviously Coach Sweeney is a huge faith and family person and leader of his program, and not that other places were not, but at the same time, the location, with our girls was a big deal, and having Thomas a part of the staff again, he was with us at Penn State as well. But obviously, it's a commitment here by Coach Sweeney to be able to have the family as a part of everything that we do, and that's tough in our profession to be able to do that, and we as fathers, we don't want to sacrifice that role, for what we do professionally, but we know it can be challenging, and so I think just being in this environment helps a lot, and having them closer helps a lot. And for me, done this a long time. I got an amazing wife that's sacrificed a lot over the years, and just neat to be able to have everybody close together and just doing life together. So, like you say, we got together recently, which we wouldn't be able to do with being so far away. But I'm just thankful for Coach and the opportunities given me here at Clemson.
And I'll speak to that a little bit. How only knowing Coach for a couple weeks now, but I can speak to how important the family environment and aspect is to him. So every single defensive staff meeting we've had up to this point, Coach has prayed over, which I think is really unique. That doesn't happen in a lot of places, but it's a blessing to us, obviously. And one of the things we talked about in length today was making sure that we have a responsibility when it comes to football and to leading our players well and setting them up for success, but also we have responsibility to our families. And when we're at home with our wife and our kids, we're making sure that we're not giving them our leftovers. And it was he was asking for prayer requests, and that was one of the things that I like. Man, this is something I'm struggling with. Like, I want to make sure that I'm present and intentional with my wife when I'm at home, and I'm putting my phone up, so I'm spending time with my kids, and just the wisdom that Coach has. It's been a breath of fresh air, and we just had a really good conversation, really a couple hours ago, on just the family environment and making sure that we're leading our groups well, but also we're leading our families well.
Well, and one of the things I love about that, it's not just good for you and your families, but as Coach Sweeney likes to say, we have family dinners here during the season every Wednesday. Everybody's family's running around. It looks like a daycare in here. You got all the toddlers taking out your knees. But in addition to taking care of you and your family, you're also modeling for our players what it's like being a good husband, good father. So just that holistic development and being able to model that, I think, is so key. But both of you are making your two right turns debuts, and one of the things that we love to talk about on the show is just the journeys. And you all have very different journeys. And Ben, I want to start with you because obviously we know what you did here as a player, but you went into the private sector a little bit before you found your way back to football. What drew you back?
I think Clemson. I am a Clemson guy through and through. And when we won the Natty in 2016 and we are doing the parade in the stadium and I had the opportunity to speak, my message was, I'm like y'all. I grew up a fan, going to the games, grabbing the gloves of the players, then getting the opportunity to play. And then now it kind of being full circle, Clemson, I feel like runs deep in my blood, but also just Boulware blood. Like my grandpa played here in the 50s. My parents both came here. My older brother played baseball here. So we got a pretty big extended family that are in the upstate. Pretty much all of them have came through Clemson. My little sister came through here. So obviously I love football and for the blessings that it's provided me with my life, but also just Clemson. And me and Sweeney have had good conversations over the past year, and I've kind of itched at it since I left Clemson in 2016, and it's just been something that's been knocking at the door consistently. And then when the opportunity presented itself to lead the linebacker room, it's just an opportunity that I know that the 40-year-old, 50-year-old Ben would regret not taking the opportunity. So the main reason for me getting back into football is just I love Clemson. I don't imagine I will do this anywhere else other than Clemson. And it's just such a unique opportunity that I got to run freaking full circle into.
Well, you were volunteering here last year. I mean, was there one specific moment where you're like, all right, yeah, this is for me, or was it just kind of gradual?
I would say probably the first couple of practices we're getting after it in fall camp. I'm like, dang, I freaking miss this. The juice, right? The energy, and I got the opportunity just being a volunteer type guy. I was given the opportunity to still like speak life into these guys and help them with technique, fundamentals, communication, leadership, and really getting to pour into those guys over the past season was another thing that kind of just gave me the itch. But it was pretty early on. I'm just like, man, this is something. If an opportunity presented itself, I would probably do it. And here we are. So.
Yeah. And Coach Allen, for you, as we're preparing to announce your hire, I'm working through your background, getting the press release and everything ready to go. One of the things that interests me and fascinates me about you is that you've done it at pretty much every level. You've been a high school assistant coach, a high school head coach. You've coached D3, NAIA, FCS, FBS, assistant coach, head coach. I mean, pretty much darn near every level of high school and college you've coached in different capacities. How has that informed your perspective on coaching and how you go about your job?
Yeah, it does give you a unique perspective. I think what I've learned the most is that it really doesn't matter the level, how you build a team. The principles are the same. How you build belief. Doesn't matter whether you're coaching a small high school, like you mentioned, or a really big high school, one of the best in the country. And then same at college. I've been smallest level of Division III all the way up to, the SEC, the Big Ten, now the ACC. So I just think that it's always about people. It's about creating belief. I always talk about, they're going to follow the person, the leader, before they follow their vision. They got to believe in you. And that belief is created through relationships. And that's probably what I've brought from me through 15 years of high school, now going to my 19th year of college coaching. I love building those relationships. It takes time. I've been fortunate to be in some great places, but I've also been in a lot of places where we had to build, from a low level to get them to play at a high level and create the belief and create the confidence and create the team that's going to be able to perform at a high level. And then chance to be a Big Ten head coach for 7 years at a place that had not had a lot of success in the past. And so to me, caring about people. And that's why over time, accountability, toughness, love, my 3 pillars that I brought with me here defensively were the same pillars as a head coach. High school, college, didn't matter. And the way you go about building those relationships. So I just think that I have a pretty unique perspective without question, but it's about caring about the people that you're working with. That's coaches and players and helping them become better men. And that's why we had those discussions today. I want to help our coaches become better husbands and fathers. I want to challenge. I want to become a better husband and father as well, even though, our kids are now, all 3 of them are all married and are starting their own families, And so that responsibility that I feel I have with the players and with the coaches to help them grow and develop means a lot to me, which is why the fit here probably, is really, really good for me and my family to be able to have those open conversations. But at the end of the day, the thing I've learned is it's always about the people. And when you keep them at the forefront and you let them become the valued commodity in this profession, I think special things can happen.
So just to break the fourth wall a little bit for our audience, we are taping this in the midst of match drills. We're also taping this on opening day for Clemson baseball. So for those that are watching, that explains my get up a little bit here. But this episode will publish and drop on the first day of spring practice. And so I want to know from both of you, what are the things you are looking for in mat drills and what are the things you're looking for on day 1 of spring practice? Because we know a team is not a finished product in February. So what are the things y'all are trying to identify in those 2 stages of the year?
Main thing that I'm wanting to see out of our linebackers is I want to see our alphas step up. And this is one of the things with obviously Wade and Sammy being the guys last year. One of the things I really challenged them with is learning how to lead a locker room, learning how to communicate at a high level, and then ultimately leading a huddle. And I'm really wanting to see them make a lot of growth through mat drills as we get into spring. So when we're in fall camp and we're on game 1, these guys are dialed in. And I think Wade and Sammy have done a great job from a leadership standpoint. They have the purple jerseys every single day, and they're bringing guys along. And Coach had on this the other day about the 3 tiers of leadership where there's player or a coach to player, and then a coach leading the players. The second level is a player handling his own business, leading himself. But the next level, and when you get to this level with teams, this is where you can create some pretty elite teams, and it's when the players are leading each other. And that's one of the things that we've spoke about over the past year, and I've tried to hammer home with these guys on defense is the best teams and the most elite ones and the most consistent ones that do it at the high level are the ones that are player-led. And I've really seen Wade and Sammy and a lot of other guys step up and bring guys along. And we talked about yesterday, hey, we're in deep water. And when it comes to playing opponents, we're bringing our opponent out to deep water, and the goal is, hey, we want to drown them. And that's how you beat people. But when we're doing it as a team in mat drills, the goal and the challenge for guys like Wade and Sammy and Cade and T. Lee is we're bringing all these young guys out to the deep water, and we're not drowning them because they're our teammates. We're showing them how to tread water and what it's like to be in this pain and suffering, pain cave every single day. And I think Wade and Sammy, specifically from a linebacker standpoint, have done a really good job of leading well and leading within. And then the second thing that we're really wanting to see through mat drills and then also spring is we want to create a lot of depth. And I think it's one of the challenges that we've had last year and then over the past couple of years at Clemson is we want our 2 deep to be our 1s. And doesn't matter if you're number 2, we're expecting these guys to get a lot of reps. So we're wanting to see a lot of these young guys step up, put in the work, see them grow as communicators. And we've seen that since day one. Jeremiah, Alexander, and D, they flipped a switch these past couple weeks. And it's been different for them. And obviously I'm just now meeting Jeremiah over the past couple weeks. But I told him this morning, I was like, dude, there's guys that are lazy, there's guys that work hard, and there's guys that are freaking lunatics, and you're a lunatic. Like you are just going above and beyond. And the formula when it comes to hard work, when you work like you do, it will pay off. There's, barring any injuries, you will experience some fruit to your labor with how hard you're working. So I think he's coming in, done an incredible job, and will add to our depth. D has came along, and then we'll really want to see these young guys step up. When you get Drew, you get Cuba Taylor, wanting to get Kobe healthy, wanting to get Logan healthy, wanting to get Jamal put on some weight and add to the depth. So want to see these alpha step up as communicators and as leaders, and we're really wanting to build a lot of depth. As we get into fall camp, we're feeling like we're in a really good space when it comes to a 2 deep.
Coach?
I would say, specific to backers, leadership production is what I'm looking for. And how do you get to that point? You're trying to figure out how mentally tough our guys are. And that's what the mat drills really kind of can build is physical toughness, mental toughness. And to me, it's, I'm looking to see how they respond when they get sent back to do it again, and then maybe get sent back again. What's the body language? You can tell a lot. Taking notes. I got a piece of paper out there I'm with, and I'm roaming around each station, watching very carefully, and then coaching, motivating at the same time, but taking lots of notes. And I want to see the leadership piece. To me, even talking to one of them yesterday, how's that? What's that look like? You give them some specific examples. This is what I want you to do today. You focus on be encouraging of this one guy today, and then now you're going to grow into hey, now I'm going to start challenging guys, because encouraging a guy is one thing. But correcting them or calling them out is a different level. And that takes relationships, and it takes, you have to earn the right to do that. You can't just walk in the building and start, barking out orders to guys. And so the response won't be very positive. But as a linebacker, you got to lead. You got no choice. You can't say, well, I'm a quiet guy and I lead by example. That doesn't work, and I think that just has to be taught. Some guys are a little more natural that way, verbally. Some guys are very uncomfortable being verbal, but the position demands. And as far as the whole defense goes, to me, it's, you make a choice by how you respond. And so to me, I'm looking for guys that bring a certain mindset every day. They just find a way to get better. Obviously the drills are designed to stress them, to make them physically fatigued. And then, like for me, I don't even really count the first half. I want to see the second half. I want to see how they finish each rep. Are they bursting through every drill? Are they finding ways to elevate their performance every single day? Which I believe we've seen that. We kind of go through the group and talk about them as coaches, and there's been a gradual, growth each one of our workouts. And so to me, they're very, very valuable. There are not very many of them, and that's by design. But those have to really, really count. And so to me, I want a unit that's going to be chasing after greatness every single day. And I've been sending texts to our guys, and I'm giving guys every single one of our players on defense a book to read, and just different things I use to connect with them, to motivate them, and to lead them. Because at the end of the day, I want them to be the very, very best person, very best football player they could possibly be every time they step in the facility.
Well, and it sounds like that evaluation process has begun. So I want to get your feedback. We're not going to go through the full roster, but there is one person who's been out there at mat drills. I want to get some feedback on how he's looked.
That bald head is glistening, baby.
So
strain.
Again, we implore those of you who are listening by audio only to watch us on YouTube, where you can see the glorious bald head of Ben Boulware, and I believe that's a weight vest.
That dude's hurting right now.
Yeah.
And he's hurting right now, too.
So Ben, why'd you choose to do this?
Because I can't ask these dudes to do anything that I wouldn't do. And one of the things that I've challenged our group with over the past couple weeks is when we're in mat drills to wear that weight vest. And that's one of the things I've said my entire life. Hey, I want to control the input, not the output. I can't control if I have 150 tackles, 15 TFLs, unanimous All-American. It's kind of out of my control. There's people that vote on that. And what I can control is the controllables and making sure that I'm getting enough sleep. I'm putting the right things in my body. Staying after practice 10 to 15 minutes, doing some extra work, making sure I'm watching an extra hour of tape each day. And one of the things I did my senior year, because my junior year I played at 255. If y'all don't know me, I'm barely 6 foot. And a 6 foot, 255 backer, that's pretty gross. So I challenged myself going into my senior year, I got to cut weight. The game's getting so fast. My sweet spot's around 230. And one of the things that I did going into my senior season is, one, I went 0 dark 30. And a lot of guys that are on the team probably can speak to that. But within that, one of the things I did was every single workout, whether it's skills and drills, we're in the weight room, we're doing 110s, we're doing stadiums, I put that vest on. And for me, it was along the lines of input. This doesn't take no talent for me to put that vest on. It doesn't take no technique. It didn't take me being 6'4", running a 4.4. I can be this guy or that guy, and we both can put on that vest. And that extra 15, 20, 25 pounds, depending on how much weight you got in it, is really just a mental thing that I wanted to challenge our guys with. So one, I can't ask these dudes to do anything that I wouldn't do, but wearing that vest is something I did 8, 9, 10 years ago. And I think it allowed me to make a lot of growth from a conditioning standpoint, but also just from like a mental toughness standpoint, because those mat drills suck. Like, they're freaking hard. They're hard at 30, they're hard at 18, 19, 20, but when you add in that extra element of that 10 to 15, 20 pounds, you get deep into that pain cave. And there's very few guys that will do it, and there's very few guys that will complete a full mat drills with a vest. So I guess we're on day 3, and I'm in a bad spot. I'm freaking hurting. Me crossing my legs right now. I've switched legs twice now, and I think I've torn both of my hips from doing this. So I haven't been this sore in a long time, but I want to be a guy that leads by example.
Coach, how do you grade out?
Well, I'll say this. So, there's some extra pounds there that he's put on since he played. He actually came to me and said, "Hey, Coach, I think we should all put the weighted vests on and do the mat drills together as a staff." And I just looked at him like, "Dude, no, that's not happening."
I mean, I'm past that.
So I said, "I got about 25 years on you," but no, seriously, it's impressive that he's able to do it. But I guarantee you, there's a bunch of us on this staff that if we did the same exact thing, there'd be some Achilles torn, there'd be some hamstrings torn, there'd be some serious issues that we can't afford to put ourselves in. But no, but the bottom line is that he's out there with the guys, training with them, no question about it. But I get my workout in every day. It's just not the mat drills.
Not doing that nonsense.
Yeah, there's a difference in a workout and a mat drill.
No question.
Well, Coach, I mean, you mentioned the years and the experience that you've accrued and the veteran nature that you bring. Well, in addition to a lot of Clemson fans and potential student athletes that watch this, there's a lot of high school coaches as well. I'm curious from you, I want to know a couple things. The best thing about coaching, the most challenging thing about coaching, and let's say hypothetically you had a 30-year-old linebackers coach in his first year who just happened to be sitting in the room. What advice would you give to somebody kind of at the outset of their coaching career?
Yeah, I would say, let's start with the last question, just the advice. To me, it's, I got a quote in my office by Jim Elliott that says, "Wherever you are, be all there. Live to the hilt, whatever situation you believe to be the will of God." And for what that means to me is that, man, as a young coach, a lot of guys are chasing after what's happening next instead of just locking in and being your best for those guys in that moment. And that to me is my advice, because I've just seen so many guys always trying to be chasing after what's next. They miss what they're in right now. And I wanted to, as a young coach, whether I was a high school coach or a small college coach or wherever I was at, I want those guys to get my very, very best every day, and with a ton of energy and passion. But when you know your purpose, and so which gets into your next question about why I coach, and the thing I love the most about coaching, it's the impact. My dad was my high school coach, and I saw him, was raised around this game my whole life, going to practices when I was a little bitty guy and looking up to those players, and I saw the impact, and I saw that when they would come back and they would visit, and just the stories they would tell, and you could just tell that he made a difference. My dad made a difference in their lives, and the kind of husbands and fathers that they became. And I never was forgotten by myself. And when I had to make the decision to go into coaching, that would kind of drew me into that. And I don't regret it, because I've seen that now. I've got a chance now to coach guys that are currently have their own families. When you coach as long as I have, and that's an awesome thing. And to be able to know that you made a little bit of a difference in their lives and the way that they approach things. And so that's what makes it really, really awesome, is to see them become the man that I believe they were created to be. And that's why you do what you do. And then the challenging part is, you can't change them all. You can't make decisions for them. I've seen a lot of guys make bad decisions, and even though you teach them and you help them and you try to correct and hold them accountable, you can't live their life for them. And sometimes you want to, and I guess that's where it gets frustrating. But at the same time, I do know that there's a biblical principle that talks about if you train up a child in the way that they're supposed to go, when they're old, they won't forget that. And so I think it's a little bit the same in coaching. I always say coaching and parenting is it's the same. The same principles that you use to be a great coach, you use to be a great parent. And so I think also those things you instill in them, even if they make some bad decisions, that in time they'll come back to understand, and hey, those things that coach taught me, those things are making me a better person. They're going to allow me to be who I'm supposed to be. And I think that to me is what motivates me, what drives me, and because I want to be a guy that coaches for the things that matter most, the things that you can't lose, the things that can't be taken from you, and that's your faith in your family.
That's tremendous. I want to segue a little bit. We're going to go to the monitor here, and again, I encourage and implore our listenership to join us on YouTube so they can see what we're seeing. This, to me, is the most quintessential Ben Boulware play, and it's one in which you don't even record a stat. For all the memories and highlights we have of interceptions in the Orange Bowl and suplexing more than one ball carrier throughout the course of your career, this is the one I think about. And we're going to play it real quick and listen to the commentary, and then I'll follow up with a question after. Joe, go ahead.
We need 5 on this third down. Option left. Ben Boulware sniffed it out. He signaled to teammates before the snap, and his buddy Kendall Joseph made the tackle.
That's what gives you an idea of what makes Ben Boulware unique, is watch his hand. I thought he's trying to get somebody aligned. He's telling him the play's coming here. Tight end into the boundary. They're running the ball this way. Everybody come this way. And Dabo Swinney excited to see that defense come up with a big stop. But great recognition from the leader for the Clemson defense, Ben Boulware.
Ben, you were a guy who maximized every ounce of ability you had when you were here. How does that translate to coaching?
Well, that specifically is just input, what we spoke about earlier. Like, the output took care of itself, but I didn't even get a stat on that. And that's the culmination of all those things I spoke about earlier about, hey, making sure we're putting the right things in our body, making sure we're getting enough sleep, making sure we're watching enough tape. And one of the lenses that I looked through, I remember to this day of that week, I was trying to think of, hey, what are some input things that I can do going into this natty week? So we had player-led meetings the entire week. You'd have breakfast at 8 a.m., and I sent a text out to our entire defense. Hey, we're going to meet at 7. There'll be no coaches. It'll be me and Christian are going to lead it. You don't have to be there. But if you're not going to be there, you're not going to play. And pretty much throughout that entire week, the entire defense was there. And that was one of the things. I'm like, this doesn't take any talent for us to organize this. I know this is something that Alabama is not doing. So was doing it in 2016, and that's one of the things that I'm trying to teach these guys now, which we spoke about at length this morning at mat drills. I mean, if you want to get one of those banners up in this facility, don't worry about the banner. The banner's output. Worry about the input. Winning the day, winning this mat drill, winning the rep, and then tomorrow do the exact same thing. And yeah, for me, I've tried to. We're going on 10 plus years now to always have that perspective and look at life through that lens, not worrying about, hey, titles, output, production, goals. I'm just taking it one day at a time and trying to win each day.
That's a great message for the current team as well, from a guy who's done it and very clearly has the skins on the wall, so to speak. Coach Allen, I want to talk to you about the process and the challenge of joining a new program and getting onboarded, having to learn the players, learn new staff. I understand one of the things that was important to you. You wanted to sit down with every single player on the defense when you got here. How have those meetings gone? Are those all complete? And kind of what were your takeaways from those?
Yeah, they're complete. They were awesome. It's just a great time to sit down, close the door, have them tell me all about themselves. Obviously, I didn't recruit these guys, didn't know most of them, and I wanted to get a chance to know their family, who raised them, brothers and sisters, wrote everything down, talked to them about why they chose Clemson. That was an important question to me. That tells me a lot about what they value. And then went through, hey, what their major is, what they want to do with that major, writing everything down. And then it was just about, I asked them a really critical question, and that is, tell me the 3 most important things in your life. And they would tell me what those were, and I'd write them down. And then that really prompted me to be able to kind of dive deeper into who they are. Because at the end of the day, I can't motivate you. I can't lead you if I don't know you. And there has to be a level of trust that's built. And to me, that was the beginnings of building that trust and to be able to create that connection. And then I would ask them to, hey, give me something to pray for you about, And then also I would say, hey, I want to give you a book. Would you mind if I gave you, and I give a list of the book and what was kind of the book was about. And every guy said yes, And so then I was able to give them those, and they're in the process of reading those. And so that's going to create further conversation to allow me to be able to once again create that connection. Because when I talk about, and Ben mentioned this too, there's 3 components to a great defense, and one of those is a connected defense. And that's not just player to player, that's also coach to player. And that connection is built over time. And when you don't recruit guys, you don't have that initial connection with them. And so I have to start that process myself. And so I just think that it just really allows me to create the ability to hold them to high levels of accountability. Because I really say it this way to our coaches and to our players, and that is, if you truly believe that I care about you way more as a person than as a player, then that will earn the right for me to hold you to high levels of accountability and be really tough on you. But until I get to that point, it can be resisted. And is often resisted when you really try to get on them about certain things. And not that I'm not going to correct them, but it's received a lot differently. And then I can go way, way deeper into this and really get them to a high level of their performance can be elevated when I can really dig deep into who they are as a person and what they truly value. And when I know that, connect with that, man, I can push you to be great.
Well, and I forget who to credit for this, and I'm sure there's been multiple people credited with it, but what's the old line in coaching? They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Yeah. And it sounds a lot like what you're driving at there.
It is. And to me, time has taught me that. My dad taught me that. Coaching, a lot of great coaches I've coached with, and it's just people. It's being able to connect with them, to lead them, motivate them. I want to connect from my heart to yours. That's really the key.
That's great. Well, we're going to take a quick pit stop, courtesy of our friends at Darlington Raceway, and we're going to go a little Fast Facts trivia. So I've got one for each of you. And Ben, we're going to start with you. So last year, in your volunteer year, Barrett Carter became the 5th linebacker under Coach Sweeney to become a multi-time All-ACC honoree. Can you name the other 4 linebackers who've done that?
Me.
Yep. If you missed that one, I was going to get on you.
I had to think about it. Trotter?
Trotter surprisingly was not multi-time All-American, but not multi-time All-ACC.
Was it Simmons?
Isaiah Simmons was not. So Isaiah Simmons was honorable mention in 2018, and then the next year won the Butkus Award.
Skowski?
Skowski's won.
Stephon?
Stephon is one.
That's 3.
One more.
Give me a year, like a year range.
It's
There's a lot of dudes that
It's a
came through.
guy you played with. Kendall Joseph.
Come on, Kendall, let's
Kendall
go.
Joseph.
Go Bears.
Well
Come on,
done.
BHP boy, let's go.
Well done, man.
I know, good for him.
How about that? Good pull.
Cool.
All right. And then Coach Allen, for you, don't worry, I'm not going to get you on Clemson trivia for the last 15 years. I'm not going to put you in a bad spot like that.
Appreciate that.
However, there were 3 players who qualified for last year's college football playoff that had 20 or more tackles for loss, 10 or more sacks, and multiple forced fumbles last year. Can you name the 3?
Abdul Carter.
That's one.
That's probably the only one I'm going to know.
TJ?
I coached him.
TJ Parker,
TJ Parker.
who you're about to coach.
There you go.
And then national champion of Ohio State's JT Tuimoloau, who I had to practice that
You had to practice
pronunciation
that a couple
before
times.
walking in here.
I just would have said 44.
Yeah, there you go. I'm proud of that one. But one of the reasons I brought that up is in January, looking at the statistical comparison between Abdul Carter and TJ Parker from last year and how strikingly similar it is. Abdul Carter is a guy who's about to go in the top 5, top 10 of the NFL draft,
exciting.
make some serious money, and we've got someone who's relatively statistically equivalent in TJ coming back, creating some impact for us this year. So really, really excited about that. That segment was presented by Darlington Raceway. Be a part of the track's 75th anniversary and the official throwback weekend of NASCAR. Log on to darlingtonraceway.com for your tickets to the track that's too tough to tame. It's fun for everyone. Now, back to Two Right Turns. Coach, we mentioned you're new to the Clemson family, but Ben talked about it earlier. I mean, Orange and Regalia kind of runs in this guy's blood. And one of the things you've done recently, you've been able to go out on the road recruiting on behalf of Clemson. What was that like, and what was it like you've always, let's call it what it is, you've always represented this university, regardless of if you've been employed here or not, but representing this staff, this team as a coach out on the road, what was that like for you?
It was super fun. The very first time I did it was me, it was Sweeney, and it was Coach Eason, and it kind of hit me in that moment. I'm hearing Coach Sweeney give his whole pitch. He freaking crushed it. And I'm like, what's the movie, The Blind Side?
Yeah.
I was like, this is super cool. This reminds me of the movie that I grew up watching, The Blind Side. So it was, all in all, a really cool experience. And my message really to every guy that I visited with is obviously, from a winning standpoint, we're going to win ball games. We have consistently, year over year, the stats, it's 14 years in a row, 9, 10-plus wins. So I hit on how much, obviously, we win, and the CFPs we've been in, national championship, ACC titles. Hey, that'll take care of itself. When you come to Clemson, we're one of the big boys. We're going to win at the highest level. But what I think separates Clemson is really what I've been selling is the Paul Journey aspect. Just with me being in the business world and the private sector over the past 7-odd years, football's going to end for these guys. And I think Sweeney hits on it great when we have these team meetings. Hey, there's only a very few percentage of you that are going to make it to the next level. The 95-odd% are going to be getting into the business world and have to get a job after football. And I think Sweeney and Clemson as a whole have done an incredible job with this Paul Journey aspect. So I hit on what that is, the pillars of Paul Journey, our job placement, our consistent GPA track record, because a lot of programs don't have that. And we didn't have it when I was here. So I think the winning takes care of itself. People know how consistent Clemson wins. And when I'm meeting with backers, how many guys we've put in the next level. But the thing that a lot of guys don't know about is our consistent GPA track record, which a lot of these parents care about, and it's something that matters. And then the 100% job placement. I don't care if you're going to be a first-round draft pick and you play 10 years, you're going to be 30, and you're going to have to get a job somewhere. And this is where Paul Journey and Jeff Davis come into play, and it's just something that's super unique that I think all the guys that are on the road should be I imagine most of them are selling it, but it's been my main pillar that I've been trying to sell.
Yeah, well, and a lot of places are selling vision. We're selling results,
right.
which is very, very different. Coach Allen, as our fans are starting to get to know you, I want to have you share 2 stories, if you're open to it, and tell me which one is the more quintessential Coach Tom Allen story. Is it coaching a practice at Ole Miss without your front teeth, or is it wrestling a TV reporter in your office at Indiana?
Oh, it's probably the practice, getting my teeth knocked out. The whole throwing my call in my office was kind of impromptu, but just, I love to, coach with a ton of intensity and passion, and I've had to kind of modify my celebrations or my, jumping on players because it's got a little painful and a little expensive over time. But definitely love what I do, and definitely love to coach with a great level of intensity. And the word passion to me is a critical word, but when you know your purpose, like I mentioned earlier, it creates passion. I've had a lot of people ask me about my energy. I'm not 25 anymore. I'm not 30 like Coach Boulware, but at the same time, when you love what you do and you're doing the very thing you were created to do, man, it just creates an unbelievable amount of passion and joy. And I love coaching, and I love practices, and I definitely regret getting my teeth knocked out, but definitely was not a highlight. But at the same time, I guess it probably just shows we're just gonna get all of me.
Well, I'm sure the dental community in Oxford, Mississippi was glad to have you there for the length of your tenure.
No question.
I should be clear, just so we're not getting angry, confused emails or whatever, and we actually have the video here if we want to review your form. The wrestling of the reporter was not you being mad at some guy and taking it out on him. This is my call of the Big Ten Network, and you were talking about wrestling. I mean, why does wrestling translate so well to football?
Well, first of all, when I find out that a player that I'm recruiting wrestles, to me, he just went up in my book of my evaluation. From a toughness perspective, I know how hard I wrestled all through high school, middle school, wrestled all 4 years of college, and played football. It's just an amazing sport of just mental toughness, physical toughness. You can't be a part of it and not have those qualities, especially if you do it for a long time. I just think the simple thing of tackling, I think they're better tacklers when it's just a double leg takedown. It's just a good old shoulder tackle. So, but more than anything, it's the grit. It's just the ability just to persevere. When I think about, my definition for mental toughness is the ability to just stay consistent with what you're doing, persevere through whatever happens, no matter what. And it could just be, you can fill the blanks, whatever that, no matter what is. You just keep coming. You just keep bringing. Nothing's going to keep you from getting what you want. So to me, I love the tenacity that a wrestler brings. And so, now to a little bit of a preface on that. So how that even came to be was, Mike has this little deal that he does with the Big Ten Network. And so he said, hey, you got any good jokes you want to tell? I mean, I'm a terrible joke teller. So he's trying to find something that kind of, I said, but you know what? I said, I used to wrestle. We're just like having this conversation in my office. And so while we start talking about wrestling, I'm taking like the mats from the couch and like making a little crash pad. And he really had no clue. And so then I'm starting to pummel with him, a little bit. And so the funny thing though was we did it. And he was kind of resistant, and I was pushing into him, trying to get him to push back. And he did a little bit. As soon as I felt he did, I threw him. Well, then they're like, hey, let's do it again. And so he was like, no, wait. Well, see, the second time, he knew what I was going to do. So he started to kind of like resist. Well, I darn near broke his arm because when he resisted and I still threw him, he got his arm caught. And that's when I thought I really hurt him. So then I slapped him on the stomach when I found out he was fine. So it was all good. But yeah, I love wrestlers.
Mike and I are both graduates of the Missouri School of Journalism. And I can tell you that was not covered in any of our classes of how to handle a situation like that. I imagine with this next question, there's going to be a lot of similarities in your answers, but I want y'all to try to be as concise as y'all can. In 1 or 2 sentences, I want to know the identity of a player who's a Ben Boulware guy, and I want to know the identity of a player who's a Tom Allen guy.
The identity of a player, it's a Ben Boulware guy, I would say is a gritty leader that will put in the work.
Coach?
Yeah, to me, it's it's a guy. It's very similar. You know, he and I are really we're close, and I recruited this guy too when I was at Ole Miss. But he obviously chose the Clemson Tigers. But I just think toughness, a guy you can count on, a guy you can trust, a consistent person. I just think it's to me, it's just the word passion has to come into that. And I just think that I'm looking for somebody that cares, and I want to be able to, because when that care factor is there, then you can really, really develop them into something special. And so those are the things that stick out to me.
Well, we've had enough of the questions that I've come up with. We opened up the mailbag this week, and we asked some of our listeners and some of our viewers to send in their questions. Those of you who did submit, we appreciate you. Thank you. Please continue doing so. You know who you are whenever you hear the questions. First question, who is more intense between the two of you?
I would say Coach.
Why?
He's done it for a lot longer than I have. So I feel like that's a metric that is important is consistency, and I am not blind to the fact that he has done it for a lot longer than I have and has been consistent in his intensity. And yes, sir, for sure, Coach.
59 years old is
54. Don't get
54.
me.
Okay.
54.
All right. 54. 54.
That was a big jump.
No.
I just missed the ball.
No, so
I just made him mad.
No, if that's the case, I think so. It's Kevin Kelly, who we just added as our
Yes.
director of
Yeah, he's old. He's an old guy.
He's 59. That's why it's on my mind. So if we can set a reminder for 24 years from now, we'll revisit this and see where Ben's intensity is.
Yeah.
This is for Ben. Can you walk us through the game-winning stop against Notre Dame in the Hurricane game?
So we're right on the goal line. I believe we used to call it Brown. So we're in a single high coverage. Me and BJ had the running back, and the other guy essentially was a free player. So I had an open gap or the quarterback player. And I believe it was a 2-by-2 set, and the running back ticked. So he flipped, and for me, a light went off. And when Notre Dame did that, in a short yardage situation, I believe it was like 90, 95%. Hey, it's going to be a QB lead play. So you can see, if you're on the back end view of that, you'll see me and BJ starting to kick a little bit. And then once they snap it, obviously the tendency was what we thought it was. And Carlos did a great job. And everyone else on our D-line did a great job of filling the hole. And really for me, it's just, and BJ is just being downhill, making sure they don't get across the goal line.
They still need 3 more yards to force OT.
Kaiser rolls, runs into traffic, and comes up a yard short. Boulware, Watkins, and the Clemson defense rises up.
And I get a lot of credit for that, mainly because I tripped and did the
The somersault.
The somersault.
Yeah.
And everyone thought that, hey, you did that was so cool. You did the front flip on purpose. I'm like, no, I freaking tripped. I'm not an athlete. Luckily, I caught myself. But I think Herb Street did a blessing for me because he said Boulware. Carlos Watkins stopped that play. Like that was 90% Carlos. So Los, appreciate you, brother. Here we are 10 years later, still talking about it. But yeah, that tendency of that running back tick is what for me made that light go off, and we're just filling the gap.
There you go. All right, next question's for both of you. What are 2 things you need that are a necessity in your day-to-day?
Necessity, got to be organized. You got to have, to me, you got to know what you want to accomplish in a given task, what you want to accomplish in a certain practice, what you want to accomplish in recruiting, knowing what you want, what you're looking for, having a crystal clear vision of what that looks like, to me is critical to being successful in the areas that I think are called to do every day.
Ben?
For me, and I'm definitely not perfect at this. This is something that I've been working on for years, is consistently getting in the Word each day. And whether that's me having a quiet time, first thing that I do when I get up, don't even look at the phone, going into the office and spending 15, 20 minutes in the Bible. And if I'm not doing that, listening to some podcast or a lot of the things that the majority of the time I'll throw on some just worship music. And when I'm driving all over the place, I'll have that's pretty much the only thing that I'll play in my truck. And it's just, even if it's not getting in the Word, it's a good quiet time for me because it's me alone in my truck. And for the people that are listening that are running that race, everyone knows just how that sets the tone for the day and just provides clarity, provides patience, provides wisdom, and more times than not, if you start your day with that, I feel like you'll be successful.
All right, next, Ben, this is going to be for you, and this is a tough one. Do you have a favorite teammate you played with at Clemson, and what made them special?
For sure. Christian Wilkins and Jay Guillermo. Mainly because they're just weird. Christian Wilkins and Jay Guillermo were that to a T. But they were just good dudes. Obviously, incredible athletes, super successful at Clemson. Christian's done what he's done and still in the league. And then Jay being the Navy offensive line coach, which is super cool.
Yeah.
Like, people that know Jay Guillermo, and then to see him do that now, where it's like, man, this dude's made a lot of growth. And we all have. Like, I've made plenty of mistakes and am still running a race to win and trying to get better every single day. So it's not an indictment on Jay, but Jay's goofy. And to see him in that role now and about to have his third kid, married with the same girl that he was with at Clemson, those dudes were they're funny guys. So they're two guys that I still try to stay close to this day.
Yeah, a couple of the great names of recent history of Clemson football for sure. Next is for you, Coach Allen, and you talked about this a little bit, having recruited him whenever you were at Ole Miss. What do you remember about Ben Boulware from his time at Clemson?
Well, I told him this when we first got together, that I thought he was the best tackler that I'd ever evaluated as the linebacker coach. And so I think he brought that with him, to Clemson. So and when I just watched him play, obviously you keep track of guys that you recruit and how they do when they go certain places, and just his leadership. He's everything you thought he would be. A little undersized, no doubt. So he's a little shorter than you wanted, but man, just had all those great qualities and just the toughness and the grit and the ability he became a really strong leader, as you can obviously tell. And when you walk through the building, he's all over everything, so which is pretty cool. But I just think when you just see him pointing and barking things out, anticipating plays and running the defense and finishing plays and making, game-changing plays. That's what you want a guy to do when you recruit him. So that's what he did when he came here. And obviously that legacy is in cement because of it. So it's pretty cool that he's back here coaching the very position that he played at such a high level.
Well, in our last question, we touched on it a little bit earlier, and we actually can name the person who submitted this one. It's Dr. Alex Bina. The director of applied science.
I still got it, low key.
Yeah, so Dr. Alex Bina, our director of applied science, fellow Two Right Turns host, he's in that rotation, wants to know, would you recruit Ben Boulware based on what you saw in match drills?
I beat a couple guys.
No.
Oh, man. No. I beat a couple of guys, I'm telling you, and I let them know. But
maybe a couple.
I've lost a step. Yeah, only a few. And I've definitely lost a step for sure. I could feel the run, though. You put me on number 2 or put me on a tight end or slot receiver, for sure, I'm getting screwed and I'm getting beat. But we're doing inside, and I got the A-gap, or I'm a spill or overlap player, easy money. I'm filling that freaking gap with my face. But that's about all I can do right now. So
short yardage, we know what we're getting out of you?
Put me in the game, coach. 265 right now.
He might be a guard.
I'm a 3 technique right now. Or I'm a 2-eye.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, no doubt. I for sure lost a step, and I'm going to be right now I'm a D3 guy.
Okay. All right.
That's 30.
Hey, I appreciate the honesty.
That's 30, man.
And hey, we got a D3 guy in the room. Like, we're not looking down at D3 here. No. I've got one more question before we head out. Do you have multiple tattoos, or is it just one?
I have about 20 tattoos.
Okay. Well,
People don't know that I have a lot of tattoos.
how many tattoos do you have of the national championship trophy?
I have one.
And where is that located?
It is on my Achilles.
And I want to know the story behind why.
So we're going into the national championship week against Alabama in 16. My good old friend Desmond Howard is talking, which is what they're paid to do. And we had a good defense in 2016. I believe we were top 10. And so the Achilles heel, though, of Clemson's defense is Ben Boulware. Limited in coverage, short guy, not great top end speed.
That's awesome.
I believe he's talking to me and Kendall. I think it might have just said the linebackers were the Achilles heel. And you know, you're 20, 21, you're a freaking meathead type. So like any negative energy that you can get, you want to use it as a motivation. Would I get that tattoo now? Probably not. But in that season, it made a lot of sense and it was kind of cool. So when we won the national championship, what better place to get my national championship tattoo than on my Achilles heel? Since I was that for our defense, and I tweeted it after I got it, tagged Desmond Howard, and he's like, "Oh man, I was just talking. I'm sorry." Blah blah blah. The tweet blew up, so it was super funny. But low key, that's one of the most painful tattoos.
That has to be awful.
It was bad.
That has to be awful.
That one, and I have one. My calf is covered and my full back is covered, and all three of them almost brought me to tears. This one was like 8-10 hours. This one was 5 to 6 hours. That one took maybe 30 minutes and about brought me to my freaking knees. Everyone's like, tattoos don't hurt. I love the feeling. You're kind of freaking weird. It feels terrible. They actually all are super painful, and that little tiny one, I almost cut my foot off.
I mean, if someone just like bumps you in the back of the Achilles, it like will send a shiver a little bit.
No doubt.
Driving a needle into it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, no, I love it. And, you know, this is obviously a little bit of insight into my world and public relations. Obviously, one of the things I love about Coach Sweeney is he understands everybody has a job to do, including the people who are paid to create conversation. And obviously, a lot of times, you know, that conversation may not be all positive or all great for us, but he understands everybody's got a job to do. But he also says that, you know, everybody's fire has to come from within, right? If you're motivated only by external things, you won't succeed. The fire has to come from within. But he also says, if anybody wants to give you some fuel, though, we'll take it. And it sounds like that's exactly what you did.
No doubt.
So that's going to wrap us up for this episode. I can't thank you guys enough. The fans have been clamoring to hear from you all. I mean, there's been so much buzz about Coach Allen, you joining this program, Ben, you coming back to this program. It's been great to hear from both of you, your philosophies. I mean, the energy is infectious and contagious. So thank you all for being here.
No doubt. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Awesome.
So this will wrap us up from Studio C of the Clemson Athletics Branding Institute. Make sure to like and subscribe everywhere you watch and listen, and we'll see you on the next episode.